What's up, guys? This is Sheena. Welcome back to my channel. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and for that I am so grateful. So let's jump into today's topic. And I just want to start this off by saying clear and loudly with a megaphone, you do not have to be a starving artist. In fact, I would encourage you to try to get as rich as possible so that you can avoid this narrative altogether. And there's a couple reasons for this. So let me walk this backwards and tell you a little bit about this topic and the reason why I wanted to talk about it. I would say growing up, because I always knew that I wanted to be an actor, I wanted to be a performer, and that was just going to be the path that I was going to follow. And I would remember as a child, I would say, well, yeah, I'm just gonna have to be a starving artist. Like I glamorized that this would be my path of being like this, creative that would just have to struggle along this road of hardship until I landed the role of my dreams, and boom, that would change everything for me. And I'm not sure really what happened exactly that would alter that, but there's a couple things that happened on my journey that really kind of maybe just led to that overall awakening, I would say, and that shift in perspective. Somehow I got across to this book called The Starving Artist. It's by an author named Jeff Goins. And honestly, it's been a while since I've read the book. I still have it in my room. But the fact that he made was that you do not have to be broke in order to create a path of being a creator in any way, whether you're an author, a musician, like that just does not have to be your claim to fame. And then when I was coming out of college, I was waiting tables. I ended up getting connected. Demi, please. I'm sorry, y'all. My dog, again, does the most when I get on camera. So long story short, I ended up getting into real estate. Now, I used to work for a builder for quite a long time, and I wasn't even trying to get into real estate. I never really wanted to have a corporate job. I didn't know what I was going to do while I was pursuing this, acting and everything, but I ended up getting into that, and it was very successful. I mean, it just snowballed. I started working as an assistant, then I got my own community. I worked on site, and business was really great. And the more I stayed, Demi, y'all, I just can't. I'm so sorry. Just fast forward this part of the video. Oh my gosh, I'm not editing that out. Okay, let's keep going, y'all. So it snowballed. Like, it would just get better and better. And soon I was like, gosh, I actually was making money that I thought I wouldn't be able to make until I became successful as an actor. Now, it wasn't millions of dollars, let me say that, but it was enough money where I could take care of myself, and I was also able to start putting this money behind my productions and hiring a cinematographer and connecting with actors and having the money to just be a producer. And that really started to change the game for me. I ended up purchasing a house, ended up selling that house, and I was able to take the money from that and really pour into myself to make my feature film. And without that and being able to just take care of myself and not just have barely making it or just having enough, I actually had overflow to pour into this. I've seen that it has fast-tracked me in some ways because I have actual content out there, and it's everything whenever you're a producer. So I would convince you, especially in today's day, there are so many ways to make money. And I think for us in our community, we have to break through a lot of mental just paradigms and really just say, you know what, there are so many opportunities available to me. Sometimes you may have to wait tables. Sometimes you may have to do 2 or 3 jobs without, overburdening yourself or stressing your body out, because that is another issue. But I would just advise, find a career like a real estate where you can have some flexibility and still make good money. You can serve people. It's a wholesome career. But whenever you can have money, it's a difference when you're struggling. Like when my money is funny, I'm telling you, I'm really good for nothing. And say what you want, but I'm not at my full capacity. It's hard for me to be creative and, really flourishing if it's so tight that, if stuff is just tight. Something about it, I can't. So it is a spiritual thing, I believe. And I think it's important for us to get a grasp on this as soon as possible as creators. Now, I said all that to say, I'm good at a little caveats or whatever. I hope I'm using that word in the right context. So I heard Denzel Washington say this, and it is true. And let me just give a little bit of balance. So whenever I was at my former job, again, things are really well. Because things were so good, it stopped me from doing other things that I should have been building at the same time, because I was so, the only word I could think was just so, you just get so fat with, not physically, but just you're so well fed and you're so comfortable that you were like, oh, I don't really need to do that. I should have been building my YouTube channel years ago. I've been doing skits since I was a teenager. And I may not would have had to even go and have that job, because I could have built a sustainable platform on YouTube that could have been attributing to, making money, but also having that creativity. One thing I did notice while working, because I was in a corporate job, I had corporate hours. I was on the clock at all times. I mean, that's being a realtor. It's a Demi, please. Just 10 more minutes. Okay, sorry guys if y'all are hearing. So, I mean, it just kind of restricted me, because, you have to be available for auditions. And thank goodness at that time, I still had the same agent. I wasn't having a ton of auditions. So my job knew what I was doing. They were pretty open and accommodating to certain things, because I wasn't leaving every other week to go to auditions. But the quote that Denzel Washington said, and I'm sorry, Demi just threw me all the way off, but he said that comfort can be a hindrance to progress, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing. But because I was doing so well over there, and I was just, the money was kind of more instant, and I didn't have to worry about things, being tough or tight, it hindered me from other ways. So if you have a job like that, just be mindful that you're not allowing it to also steal precious time away from you to really build. My coach will tell me now, Sheena, you can't just live for the life that you have to live for the life that you want. And so in this season, I started to prioritize not just the money, but when I had that job, for instance, I really wanted to train with this certain coach, and he taught on Sundays. And I had to work at that job every Sunday, and they would not allow me. I didn't ask, because weekends were mandatory. People are looking for houses mostly on the weekends. And so again, I still was able to train places, but it wasn't the place that I knew could really cultivate my talent. And so I just want to, I guess, add some balance to that whatever you do, try to make sure that it's creating a life of, flexibility. So now I'm in general real estate. I can, I still have to work around the client schedule, but I'm not in this office job where they, have me for a set amount of hours, and there's not as much flexibility there. So that's one part. Make your money legally, morally, ethically. Find a way, but do it, because you won't just have to sit around and wait for somebody else to give you a yes. You can create your own yes. All right. The second part of why I think it's good to be able to already have money going into this, which this is another little side thing. People love to glamorize the rags to riches story, and I think it's beautiful. Most people, there's a small percentage, as we know, in this country, of people that are really, really rich. So a lot of times people are coming from, meager, humble beginnings, basically. But there were actors that had money before coming into this. I literally saw an article one day, did a Google search again today before this video. Bradley Cooper, I think it said Meryl Streep, Jake Gyllenhaal, and it could have been their parents, okay? But they weren't just coming into this industry and, not having anything. And it's not to put down, you know, poverty or whatever the case may be. It's just that I don't think we need to accept that that has to be the way while we're pursuing this dream. Okay? The second reason I think it's also good to have money going into this is that you're just not desperate. And again, especially for our community, when you don't have money and people know that you don't have money, they know that you are willing to do just about anything to escape your circumstances. But just as I was when I had that, you know, well-paying job, I could look at auditions and be like, no, it's not worth my time. In the audition, it's not worth my attention. I can just wait because I'm just not that pressed for it, you know. And that could have been if the role was, I didn't align with the role, or it just wasn't paying enough. But you see, when you're like super tight in finances, you just want to take anything. You want to, because survival. And sometimes that can put you in positions where it can be compromising, or you just don't have the freedom to really walk into your gift with the purpose side of it. I think a lot of us get into this because we see the purpose in telling stories, or and we love, you know, if you love music, being a musician or whatever that creative thing is, we do it for the love of it a lot of the times. Sometimes there could be selfish ambition too, okay, but we're not talking about that today. So you just want to be able to have freedom of choice, freedom of decision. Like if this, you want to be able to choose this role because you align with it, not because you got to put food on the table. Because again, a lot of desperation just comes from that. It's like going on a date with somebody. If they're just desperate, like the energy just reeks. You don't even want them anymore. And so I think you just have, when you operate from a place of abundance and not lack, it just puts you on a trajectory for a whole different type of career because of that. So I wanted to hop on and give my tips when it comes to the whole starving artist scenario. And no sis, no bruh, it does not have to be you. Find ways to make your money and have the flexibility that you deserve. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.